Comrades, allies, senators, I stand in front of you today, along with my comrades, coming from a long struggle, with the heaviest weight on our shoulders, with the weight of those who are gone, with the blood of those we've lost, over a struggle that has lasted for over 100 years. A struggle that has culminated into a moment of genocide, into a moment where we're incapable of seeing any light, where even getting one loaf of bread into Gaza requires changing the whole of the geopolitical order. Today, I stand in front of you in a moment of hope. I see in this room people who stood with us. It is only a few years ago that I met comrades from Latin America and comrades from Africa and Asia who had a very clear message to tell me. None of us are free until we are all free. It was among them that I felt that we're not alone. There is a continuity of history. When we speak of Palestine, we speak of a long history and ancestry of decolonization. Palestine is a point of extremity that reminds us of colonial erasure, that reminds us of all of those that were killed by paramilitaries that were funded and supported and trained by Israel in Colombia. It reminds us of all of the corporations that plundered the resources of this beautiful country. It reminds us of all of those who died struggling to get us to this moment. The erasure of truth that we saw happening in the past 2 years also reminds us of how their histories were erased, how their stories were simply put aside. We are now in a struggle for truth, and we have two paths. In this historical moment of history, we stand in a status quo, where genocide is live-streamed and normalized, where corporations extort and practice more power than states around the world, where governments like those of Trump and the European Union can tell us that money going towards the militarization of the world is more important than saving the environment, than giving welfare to the rest of the world, than humanizing the rest of us. We live in a status quo that tells us that some lives are worth more than others, where some of us are left in what is called ethical loneliness, a state of helplessness where our voices are not heard. In this moment of ultimate dehumanization, it is only when we recall our solidarities, it is only when others stand to give up a part of their privilege to voice those who have lost their voice, that we are able to rise up. Today, we saw that semblance of hope in the position taken by the Hague Group. Today, we stand to pave another path, a path where the United Nations Charter is interpreted, where under a motto where peace and security is understood as equality, non-domination, and non-subjugation, not as upholding the status quo as it is. Today, we stand to remind the world that Zionism is nothing but another face of racism, is nothing but a normalized system of racial supremacy that has managed to trench imperialism in my region, not just in Palestine, but in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, and all across these places that have never managed to accomplish their self-determination. Today we stand with a vision of Palestinian self-determination, one that is anchored in justice, one that is anchored not in simply recognizing a Palestinian state or calling for a two-state solution. That is indeed something that falls behind what we can recognize with the blood that has been spilled. Palestinian justice can only be realized through reparations and return, can only be realized through the recognition of the history of this struggle, not just the struggle of Palestinians, larger struggle of decolonization by cutting rights as they are, by economic redistribution. It is a vision that is that of dreamers. It is indeed an idealistic vision that we need to hold on to with our teeth, with our nails, in this moment of ultimate darkness. It is in this moment that we remember that the symbol of Gaza is the phoenix that rises from the ashes. In this moment of darkness, we plant the seed of hope and we stand as allies. To stand as allies, we need to recognize that that does indeed entail a point of strength. It entails giving up a part of our privilege, and it entails finding meaning in our struggle. Today, as we stand in the Colombian Parliament, we must clearly remember that in front of this Parliament is a very big task. A task to overcome the delay, to overcome the play of semantics, a task to recognize and take action towards 5 points that I'll mention here. First of all, this Parliament needs to take forward a bill that prevents any trade agreements with states committing grave violations of international law. This duty stands at the core of the international legal system. A free trade agreement with Israel that normalizes how Israel defines its own domination over the Palestinian territories now still is in order in this country, and this should not remain the status quo. We call on our allies also to engage with a high-level diplomatic mission to Palestine. We call on our allies to take concrete measures.